with me, John? I don't know.
What's happening?
Let's just get back. Get back. You with me, John?
They just think there's going to be another explosion.
You okay?
Please. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Watch out, watch out.
What's up, everybody? Just come on here for a few minutes, talk about a few things before I get busy on something else. Anyway, I'll give a shout out to, is it Richard Dossery 4219 or something like that. It sent me a comment on one of my last videos about these cards right here, and so I replied on there, and so I'll just let everybody know if you're interested in having one of these cards. That's just my company there. But anyways, this is the important part, right? And I've explained that in the other. What it's pretty much has your rights when you mess with officer. Just hand them this card. Don't say a word. Stand firm. Anyways, that's what this is. And I had before, when I was still working this, so quite a while back, all of this was already in the plans. And so I had all these made up, a bunch of these cards made up. And as things come along, I'm gonna get some new ones and updated ones made for a couple of different subjects. Anyway, I'll be happy to give you one. I just give them out, and a lot of times I leave them, if I go certain places, I'll leave them laced so somebody can just grab them. And so if you're in this area, whoever you are, if you see me around, hit me up. I usually have them with me. If not, I'll take down your information and make sure you get one. But usually I have them with me. And so if you see me around, you hit me up, I'll give you one. And shout out to some of my friends out there that maybe not even gotten them from me yet, even though they see me a few times. Remind me when you see me, because a lot of times they're just here and I just got all this stuff on my mind that I just ain't thinking, so around here, if you see me around, I'll give you one. If you are from this area, local to the area, or going to be for whatever reason in the area, you can hit me up, and I'll be glad to meet you somewhere or drop it off somewhere. And the reason for that is because, it costs me to mail it out. So if you're around the area, I'd rather just give it to you, or you can tell me where to drop it off, whatever. We don't have to meet, But if you're not in the area, you can send an email to admin@americauncensored.net. That's my website. I'll leave a link to the website in the description below. And also go on that website and sign up for my mailing list. I don't take your information. I don't sell your information. If you sign up for the mailing list, it's just, and I don't send out very many mailings at all. You don't get bombarded by me for any mailings. And if anybody is, let me know, because that means something was hacked or something, because I don't do that. I will once in a while. It's kind of rare, but I will once in a while send out updates to say, hey, here's where I'm at now. You can follow me here, or whatever, or something important coming up, or whatever, But that's so we can keep track. You guys can keep track of me, and if I, get thrown off one platform or another, you'll know where to find me that way. But also, so you send an email for these cards. You can send an email to, if you're admin@americauncensored.net. And then my email's a little messed up right now, but as soon as I get it, then as soon as I can, I'll get to it. And then you just mention that you've seen it on the video, and leave your address, and I will send one out to you. Now, preferably, if I have to send one out, I would appreciate like a $2 donation to my Cash App. I'll leave a link to description in the description also for that. But my Cash App or PayPal, but preferably Cash App if you use it. $2 donation that will cover my costs. Like I own some envelopes and stamps, but right now I'm penniless. So if you send a $2 donation, I send you that covers me to get stamp, postage, all that, to send it out to you. That's the only reason that is for, because right now I'm penniless, right? And my current stock of stamps and envelopes, I'm not allowed. These authorities here, if you're paying attention what's going on, are blocking me from having any of my stuff, any of my own personal property. They stole it from me, armed robbery, however, but that's the truth, and they won't. To this day, still, here it is, Monday, almost noon, still no answers, still nobody's telling me where my stuff is, and what they're doing on purpose is dragging it out so that they can, they're gonna force me to lose all my stuff. This is how they operate. This is how the system operates. Anyways, yeah, you send email with your name and address to admin@americauncensored.net, and I will send one out in the mail as soon as I'm able to. If you leave your, if you're from out of the area and you leave the $2 donation in the Cash App, you go ahead and send the email to confirm, that way I know, because anyone that does that, I'll put that on high priority. I don't want nobody sending no money to Cash App and then waiting around forever to get one of these, so if that's the case, send me that email also to confirm, or leave the message with the Cash App thing. I don't not for sure how that works, but just to make sure that I can expedite that right out to you. And so that's what I want to say about those, because I appreciate the comment asking for one, and I figure maybe I better clear up on how to make sure you get one of those, and they're not copyrighted or nothing like that. You can totally copy this, front and back if you want, but I mean, mostly that's what's important to you, is what's on the back of that. And it's not like nothing special. These similar things are out there by other people. This is just as things were going along, and I was still working. I was still, anybody that's been paying attention knows that situation. I invested my own money in to do this because I was working on these things, and I had no idea I'd be sitting here today in this particular position. So then I just want to come on here and mention a couple of things. Let's remember 9/11, right? Today's 9/11. Hopefully I get this published up there today, right? On my website, my website's not what it once was. I used to get 10 to 20,000 viewers a day, and that's a few years back, right? It's for a few years now, it's been like sometimes less than 100 a day, always less than 1,000. And the thing is, well, back when we talk about September 11th, 2001, I started the website, AmericaUncensored.net, and I don't believe it started as .net. Maybe it was .com or .org. I had all those at one time, not all at once. I started with the one. I got thrown. They pulled their games. I got shut down, and so I came back out. And I think the second time was .org, and then got shut down again. And now I came around to .net, because when I had .com, they shut me down, and then come up with all this stuff. But by the time once they shut me down, they turned it into, somebody bought out the domain anyway. But so 9/11, you know, what are you barking at? Oh, you see somebody walking a doggy? Yeah, you don't worry about that. You don't worry about it. Get up here and say, hey, come here. Come here, get up here and say hello. Say hello to everyone. Hey, buddy. Hey, look at the camera. You gotta look at the people here. Look in there. Look up here. Tell everybody hi on YouTube. You can't be a star on YouTube if you ain't gonna be appreciating your fans out there. You're just trying to chase that dog, ain't you? Anyway, Whiskey's not too happy about all this situation either, but we're doing all right. We like each other's company. It is a pain that this is the dirtiest my vehicle, any vehicle I've had, has ever been. I can't believe how much dog hair is everywhere. This vehicle's never been this dirty. Anyway, whatever. So 9/11, right? And when I started my website was like late 98, mostly 99 and on, 1999 and on. First started my website, and the internet was much different then, and you didn't have these algorithms that were contributing to all that censorship going on. It was a cool thing. And like I said, I started my website, and at that time, when I first started, it was on free hosting because, you know, it was just me doing a hobby, sharing stuff that I researched and, you know, on different subjects like JFK, the moon landing, and diseases, different conspiracy things, right? And then we hit 2001. Now, let's say this: the world when we hit the new millennium, year 2000, the world surely did change. And maybe some of us older people that don't realize it. The world was much different. And once we hit into the year 2000, and not so much right away, but once we got into 2001, right? Shortly before the attack on the trade towers, the Pentagon lost how much $1 trillion, whatever it was. I don't have all the, you know, I have a problem trying to do these videos right now because it's not easy. I can't just pull up all this stuff and do all this research. You know, if I find the stuff out there, I'll try to post it up to go along with what I'm talking about. But let's use some common sense here. If you've been alive from back in 2000, before, when the trade centers attacks happened, you know, if you were old enough to understand, and you've seen before that and now, we gotta be careful because this world has, the people that's running it has found a way to subdue our minds, and you know, even a lot of us don't even realize how much, you know, don't even remember the differences, but the world was much different. The internet was much different. And so, like I said, I had my website, and then when the attacks on the World Trade Center happened, I was working at a place called Sauter Woodworking in Archbold, Ohio. And you know, there's where I learned a lot of how a lot of political stuff goes, how your employers are completely just like, you know, just part of the system anyway. But right, we get in, you know, maybe a different subject, but anyway, so I was working there, and I was on second shift. But I remember I woke up because I was on second shift. My sleep schedule, I wasn't up bright and early usually in the morning, you know. My phone was ringing, and I barely heard the phone ring because I was asleep. Well, back then we had answering machines, right? And it wasn't a voicemail, it was an answering machine, right? And I hear the beep, you know, it goes to the answering machine, and it's my brother's voice on there. Hey, Larry, get up, turn on the TV, something's going on, get up. I was like, what? And I could hear it from the room, and I was like, man, what's going on? So I go out there and hit, you know, I knew something was emergency or whatever, thought something was wrong with my brother. I go out there and replay the message and hear him saying, turn on the TV, whatever. And so I was like, I had a big screen, whatever, them big projection TVs, right, that they used to have. And so, you know, like I say, I'm half asleep. So I'm, if you understand how big them TVs were, I was like down on my knees, you know, on the, turning on the TV. And so my head's right there where the big screen is. And as soon as the TV comes on, and that's the first thing that's on there, and I see a plane, you know, big old plane going into the building. I'm like, oh, hold on, I'm sorry. The first thing I seen was one of the towers with smoke billowing out of it, right? And I'm like, whoa, what is it? And that's the first thing that came on, as soon whatever channel it was on. And of course, that as soon as it happened, they interrupted most all broadcasts and put it all over, right? And you know, so I'm there with this big old screen right in my face, and I see this. I'm like, oh, whoa, what happened? And it says something about a plane. I'm like, wow, that's weird, man. How did that happen? You know, because already I knew enough that they're right there on the coast, and that's a guarded coast. And I'm like, man, that's just unreal that could have happened. But still wasn't sure they weren't showing replays, because the fact of the matter is there was no real footage of, how could there be, you know, of the first plane hitting, even though Bush and whoever else, several people have claimed that, oh, when they seen the first plane hit the first tower. And I'm like, there's no way, you know. But there is a way for those who were involved, and that's what people don't understand. But anyways, so a few, you know, just a minute later or whatever, as I'm, you know, reading this caption and seeing the smoke pour out of the building, then all of a sudden you see the other plane, and I'm like, whoa, this ain't no accident, right? What is going on here? And then, so as the day plays out, of course, I still had to go to work. So I show up to work, second shift, and, you know, from that point on, I'm listening to news. What is going on? They're right away claiming a terrorist attack. Right away claiming a terrorist attack, knowing who's involved in stuff. That's nonsense, right? And I was already running my website, but on a free hosting at that time, but it was all about conspiracy stuff. And you can call it, what I call conspiracy stuff is, it's actually truth. It's truth that we're not being told about whatever subjects. And that's what I focused on with my website. I would do some research on this stuff and then share on my website, write articles about, you know, this or that, you know, as I said, like the JFK stuff, or moon landing, weather manipulation, all different stuff. And back then, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of people that believed in weather manipulation. You know, now we got a whole lot of proof out there, but back then it was, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, so you got labeled as a conspiracy theorist. That's a title I held proudly, you know what? But not so much anymore, because everything is just, nothing's like it ever should be anymore. And so as I'm at work, I go to work, and this gas hog I'm driving, and I get to work, it's on E, right? I don't got enough gas to get back home, but I'm not, you know, whatever, thinking too much. I had to make sure that I got to work, you know, and so I'll get gas later tonight when I get off work, right? That was a mistake. So all day at work, and they're playing it, they played the music there where I worked at, and all day everybody's talking about all this stuff, and I just shouted out. I remember whatever I was doing, as I was thinking about stuff, I just shouted it out. And this was the day of. I was like, this is bullshit. I just yelled out, bullshit. This, they are behind this. And this is an inside job. I didn't say inside job. That wasn't my term. A lot of people use that term, but but that's what I was generally saying. I can't remember my exact words, but I was like, started telling everybody at work, I was like, no, the government's involved in this. Don't tell me they're not. Oh, and then, so many people don't want to believe that. And then I get off work and the gas station, the only one open, there's a line. I'm sitting there almost running out of gas, waiting in line to get gas, and it's like $5 something a gallon, right? All these gas stations, and some of them even got in trouble for it, were price gouging and taking advantage of the situation, and which is what that's what kind of sick road we live in. And it's way worse now that people weren't too compassionate then, and now it's even worse. And 9/11 contributes to that. I'll explain to that later, but 9/11 was a turning point for us, especially here in America. From that point on, that's where we got the Patriot Act and all this other stuff. Even though the fools behind it are the ones running the show, and nobody's holding them accountable. Well, everybody was blind, right? So I paid my whatever $5 something a gallon in gas, got my butt home, and then within a day or two, I wrote an article for my website explaining how things went down and what I believe. And I wasn't totally correct on everything, of course. It's all, but I'm taking all this. Now most of that footage was taken down, and it wasn't allowed to be shown because it was so graphic, supposedly, right? Even though you see 10 times worse stuff than that. Like as an example, my video that I said about the Columbus police a few days ago. I did the video about the Columbus police killed a woman, pregnant woman, right? Well, that's kind of censored out by YouTube for age restriction, and I'm guessing it's because of the gunshot through the window. However, it didn't show no graphic, gory stuff, but you did see him point the gun at the window, and then you hear the gun go off, and then she's dead. But I'm guessing that's why they hit me with the age restriction. Could be a couple things I said, but I'm pretty sure it's because of that, right? And that's not even all that I mean, that's these kids these days are seeing way worse than that on their cartoons, on their TV shows, on their video games, and just life in general, right? You're seeing way worse than that. And even back then, when 9/11 happened, we've seen way worse stuff than a plane hitting a building. Oh, but no, they took that footage down because they didn't want everybody finding the truth. Because I spent from the time I got off work through the next day or two, I was going through all this footage, all this news articles, because I'm like, no, this stuff just don't smell right, And like I said, that night at work, I was like telling people, no, this ain't right, something ain't right, the government's behind this. And then for the next several days, I was telling people that, well, some people want to, then they want to jump on you. That's crazy. You know how many people it would take to pull that off. You know how many people would have to be involved in that. You think our government would do that to us? Yeah, I did think that. I thought that, I'm like, how can you not see that? Okay, like I said, this was 2001, right? Well, I was alive in the 90s and before that, but I mean, I was at an age enough through the 90s that I certainly remember the stuff that was going down. Okay, Waco, Texas, Ruby Ridge, those were both in the 90s. And then you want me to believe that you can't get a group of government people together to pull something like that off? Instead, they want you to believe, even to this day, they want you to believe that a bunch of cavemen who were being constantly under monitored by our CIA, but they live in caves and can't do nothing else, but somehow they learned how to expertly fly planes and make expert maneuvers that even some of the experts say they can't do. and fly these planes into 3 different buildings, and then one was shot down. And they don't admit it was shot down, but it was shot down. I can't. It sucks right now. I can't. My website used to have all of this stuff because so as I was saying about my website, I was on free hosting. Well, then I wrote, within a day or two, I wrote my article, what I felt about it. And that was just my first thing I wrote about it. And it wasn't all exactly right. And of course, you got the people calling you out about, oh, you're wrong because of this. And, I will say some of the stuff I was probably wrong about. But some of the stuff I was right about, And, so you got, you're just a conspiracy theorist, right? So, but it gained so much traction because there was other people that were smart enough to know and believe that and were agreeing and were in their own minds coming up with, looking at this and saying, hey, this ain't right. So I gained so much traction off that. 9/11 was our generation's JFK, even bigger, They did this right in plain sight, no pun intended, right? Right in front of us, and they want you to believe that a bunch of cavemen with box cutters pulled off the most sophisticated attack in human history, right? And recorded history. I suppose. I mean, in modern history, I should say, right? I don't know how to say it exactly the way I mean it, but they want you to believe that because our government wouldn't do that. However, the only people who was capable of pulling off such an attack was the United States, was our CIA, or, whatever group. And then you got Bush Sr. was the president a few years before that, back in the 90s. And he was, he's on record saying, blah, 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 because we need to usher in the new world order, right? And I'll see if I can find clips or whatever, but it's out there. It's like, I'm sure a lot of you maybe have heard it by now, but it was all about the new world order, and people are acting like we're still marching towards the new world order. No, we're in the new world order. We're currently in the new world order, right? And this new world order, the turn of the new millennium was their time to shine. Like they had plans, the Project for a New American Century, and you look at all the people that was involved in this, and you read these articles like Project for a New American Century. A lot of that stuff I used to have on my website, and when I was shut down, so I gained so much traction from my stance on 9/11 that my website my free hosting couldn't do it no more. So I, on my own, started paying for paid hosting, and so I could. And this was all hobby for me, it wasn't like I wasn't advertising or making no money. And back then, the internet wasn't quite like that. It was starting to get like that, but a lot of it was you shared your stuff. You just shared links with other people and banners. And I display your banner on my website. You display my banner on your website, and that's how we got traction and things moved along, right? And it wasn't until not too long later then people started monetizing on that stuff. By the time I tried to monetize, they cut me down. I've had different stuff. It wasn't just the 9/11 stuff, but censorship we're seeing. There's a lot of people that's been censored out heavily here lately within the last few years, but they ain't seen the censorship like some of us have then. There's many sites, not just mine, that was shut down within a few years later. And a lot of them sites no longer exist. And I remember because I was friends with a lot of them, and a lot of them aren't there no more. And some of the people that ran them maybe moved on to whatever. I don't know. I lost contact with most of that. And it jumped me up. I was getting like 10 to 20,000 viewers a day onto my website, and visitors, I should say. And eventually they shut me down. When they did that, they hit me with this stuff, and I lost all my stuff. No, not at first. No, I was shut down twice and I ended up getting it back up. Lost some momentum because I had to change the domain to .org, but eventually, but I was still riding on that momentum that people were able to, so I was still doing pretty good because I got it back up in time under some different hosting and stuff. But then they hit me again, and we can get into all that later. But then the second time they hit me, it fried a lot of my stuff, and I lost a lot of good, valuable information that I would like to have back up on there. When the opportunity arrives, and when I can, I will. But that means I got to put more all that research I already put in the stuff back then, like about 9/11, about the Masons, about about secret societies, and not just Masons, moon landing stuff. I don't know, you name it. I had almost every subject that was considered conspiracy topics on there, and I had a lot of good, valuable information on there. A lot of that's not there no more. But so where were we at? Anyways, to stick with 9/11, let's get back on subject there. That was the mentality of people. They don't want to believe that their own people would do this to them. And now here we are, 2023, a decade later, and we're still, everything that's going on is still a result of that. People don't realize that. We've been in never-ending war since. Now, it ain't all, the wars we're currently fighting aren't exactly, they ain't considered connected to that, but we haven't stopped warring since. Actually, we've been in never-ending war for maybe longer than that. But we go over, bomb the hell out of Afghanistan, which had, that was a lie. We go over there, that was our excuse to go over there. We go invade, and the Taliban had control, and they kept the highest cash crop. They got rid of the poppies, right? Poppy fields. And then we go over and take over, and suddenly our soldiers are guarding poppy fields. They're sprouting back up and being guarded by our soldiers, American soldiers. So, and is it any wonder that since then, the heroin epidemic became an epidemic, became the situation it is with heroin and fentanyl and all that, ever since 9/11, right? Who's getting rich off that? Who's bringing them drugs into this country? You tell me, right? U.S. military is. And, there's people that get offended. I got friends that are, pro-military and ex-members of military, and they don't want to believe it. But I've got a couple of friends that's been close enough to it that they do believe that, and they do agree with me. So just, anyways, do I expect you to, did I then expect people to believe that our own government, our own people would do this to us? Well, I mean, you tell me how, first of all, the people they blame for being behind it were actually trained by our CIA, and the proof is out there. And like I said, if I can find some of the stuff, I'll post it up. And my website still has maybe some of that. I do have an article out there that explains. I'll see if I can find it and post it up. It's on my website, but that's a few years back, so I don't know how hard it is to find on there. I'll try to find it and post it up here, leave a link or whatever in the description. But it's Bin Laden and all his people were trained by our CIA. They were trained by our CIA, our CIA, so that they could fight against Russia. And that was back, yes, there was a war. People don't realize that. It was a proxy war, technically America versus Russia, but it was, we trained all these people, which was led by Bin Laden, to fight against Russia down there in Afghanistan. And what do you know? He's the guy they blamed. But were the planes remote controlled? Were they, who knows, right? We can dig into a deep rabbit hole, and some of it we can find some of the claims are true and some of them are, not provable. Some of them are provable, and it's just, but there's a lot of misinformation out there, and they do it on purpose to make everybody look stupid and foolish. The point is, now fast forward 2023 and take a situation like mine, not just mine. Stop. But how did okay, look at what they're doing to me as an example. I'm an American citizen, not doing nothing wrong. You take a look at my situation, they've destroyed my life. Literally destroyed my life. This is all I have right here. All this right here is all I have. Living in my vehicle, wearing the same clothes every day. They won't even give me my property, which belongs to me. They stole it, right? And what kind of people do that? And then you want me to believe that some president that doesn't know us and gets filthy rich off these disasters, and you want me to believe that he wouldn't pull something like this on the American people when you got your own neighbors pulling this on you? You got your own neighbors taking you to death, and you want me to believe that the Bushes didn't have nothing to do with it. You want me to believe Cheney didn't have nothing to do with it. You want me to believe Donald Rumsfeld had nothing to do with it. And I'm not just calling out those Republicans that were then, it's more than that, but a sophisticated attack. You know how many people would have to be involved in that to cover it up, they saying, and you think there's that many Yes, that is exactly what happened. A group, a club, a secret club that meets in secret and plans the world's events, and to take over the world, to bring in their new world order. That's what 9/11 was about, and people don't realize that. That's why the New York skyline is changed. Those Twin Towers are never there no more, and they were a sight. They were wherever you was from, you knew about the Twin Towers, and a lot of people went to New York, just that direction, just to see some of that, being one of the attractions, right? The Twin Tower, the tallest skyscrapers, and the Statue of Liberty, all that stuff over there, right? Yeah, I do want those people, I did want those people to believe that, because that's exactly what happened. I don't want you to believe what I'm saying just because what I'm saying. I want you to take what I'm saying and say, there could be some truth to that. Let me look into it and come to my own conclusions. Let me take a look at the facts and come to my own conclusions. Okay, so how are you going to take a look at the facts? Bush immediately tampered with evidence. Okay, Bush should be rotting in prison right now. At least, right? At the very least, he should be rotting in prison right now. And not just him, but they're protected. Like I say, I go off about if you're Trump, if you're subscribing to one side or the other, left or right, you're part of their, the divide and conquer agenda. Because Trump, before he ran, he used to subscribe to the idea that 9/11, some fishy stuff went on, and he's gonna let us know the truth. He became president. It didn't matter no more. He still held to, he didn't do nothing to get rid of the Patriot Act, right? Or any of those any of the stuff that was put into motion. He didn't do nothing to reverse that. And then when he had a chance to release all the JFK files, he released a portion of those files. And why is that? Because Bush Sr., Daddy Bush, was still alive. And Trump wasn't about to out him. And that's just the truth, whether you like it or not. Because Daddy Bush is 100% involved, was 100% involved in the JFK assassination. And there's stuff out there. Look, he was a member of the CIA at the time, and he was photographed right there in Dallas, Texas, the day before JFK was assassinated. So they're all behind this. And it's been an agenda that was in the works long before 2001. 2001, September 11th, 2001 was a part of their plan that they had planned. And I can't remember the documents right now, but there was proof out there that they were doing a simulation. A few months prior, they already had a simulation planned where jumbo jets were going to crash into the towers, and it was pretty much a simulation of exactly what went down. And then the day of, the fighter jets weren't scrambled to protect the area like they would be, the coast, like they normally would be. They would be scrambled. Okay, somebody's breached this area, scramble the fighter jets. They were ordered to stand down. And they were also being taken part of a drill the same day. So, a lot of them thought, oh, this, when the stuff's going, they think it's part of the drill until they realize it's not. Then Bush went ahead and immediately took all the scrap, shipped it off wherever. They threw it all on ships and boated it off, right? Tampered with the evidence. That's all the evidence is, crime scene evidence, and they got rid of it immediately. But people still want to say, oh no, it was these cavemen halfway across the world that somehow became overnight, but somehow with just a couple of days of flight training on a Cessna, were able to maneuver, to do impossible maneuverabilities of jumbo jets, right? You took a couple of days of learning how to fly and not land, a Cessna, that's about as big as this Explorer I'm sitting in, right? And but you got experts that saying they can't make them maneuvers the way it was done. But they were able to take the jumbo jet and take it right into the Pentagon on the side that was under construction, and they were able to hit the towers, all that stuff, right? And here we are, 2023, and that's still the narrative they're pushing. I mean, you see on the anniversary of 9/11, you got all these news things that come out, and they're remembering 9/11, remembering the firefighters, and by all means, remember them firefighters. Our government don't care about them firefighters, and our media don't care about them firefighters that gave their lives. If they did, they would honor them by giving the truth. Who's really responsible for those deaths? Thousands of deaths. Who's really responsible for that? Well, we keep blaming these people who are innocent, because it wasn't long after Afghanistan then we found a reason to go into Iraq, which was Daddy Bush's war, and son Bush was just taking care of his dad's vendetta against Iraq, against Saddam Hussein. Anyway, so Saddam Hussein, right? We found an excuse then, turned it into an excuse to go to into Iraq. That was the goal, the goal. They had a goal to go and conquer all them Middle East countries, right? All the ones who weren't connected to the central banking system. And that's where, do I believe that bankers and politicians are evil enough to do this? Yeah. I would shake the hand of any of those Muslims before I would of any of those politicians and bankers. And it was all excuse for endless wars and to usher in the New World Order. And that's what 9/11 was. And, you know, so when we're remembering 9/11, let's remember the truth. When you want to honor the fallen from that day, the proper way to honor them is to get the truth and hold the people accountable. Okay? There's American citizens every day spending days in jail for nothing, right? Or for very minor stuff. And meanwhile, these people have killed thousands just here in America, and then you consider the wars because of it. How many lives were ruined and killed over that? You know? Yes, I do believe 9/11 was an inside job, and that might get me censored out on here, I don't know. But you'll never convince me that it wasn't. And like I say, I'm a person that does my research, and I put a lot into it, and it was a hobby for me. I wasn't making money. I've yet to this day make any money out of that. It was all research, and because it was my responsibility as a person who figured it out to share that information. We need to be holding these people accountable. And when you want to go vote for Trump, you know, I'm not saying don't vote for, you know, whatever. That's your choice, right? Who you think is proper to be in there. But when you want to act like Trump's our savior and he was sent here to save us, then ask yourself, why would he still protect these people? Because Trump knows who was involved in 9/11. Trump knows who was involved in the JFK assassination, and the reason he didn't release the full files is because Daddy Bush was still alive, and he was protecting him. And that's just one thing about Trump, you know. And I'm not excusing anyone saying vote for somebody else other than Trump because of that, because they're all in it, and we're not holding anybody accountable. And then, like I said, so I look at my own situation and see how these local people should be disgusting like this, be pigs like this, to treat people like this. And then you want me to believe that these people that don't know a damn one of us or care about one of us, that were born with silver spoons in their mouth, give a shit about us? No. And since we're on the subject, let's prepare, because something bigger is coming. And they've been warning for a while now. Okay, and then they got away with 9/11, and then things kept getting worse and worse, and how people can believe and still buy any official story is beyond me. Okay, get into everything that's happened from 9/11 all the way to now, 2019, 2020, all that, you know, and everything before that, of course. But up to now, all of this is a plan for control, and they're coming after your soul. And that's the truth, you know, if people can't piece that together. And the problem is, we have people of voting age now that weren't even born yet when 9/11 happened, but yet they want to sit there and shout out things that they don't know about. They didn't even see the coverage of it. All they can go by is whatever we can throw up there from history, right? And these people were born into the New World Order. Like I said, people don't think think that the New World Order's coming. It's always coming. No, it's already here. We've been in the New World Order. Okay? And they're just, because we don't have that digital currency yet, that's part of the plan, you know, and it's coming. And those of us who knew this before, we're talking about a forced digital, the end of cash money. We didn't know exactly how it was going. You know, I had several articles about that, and, you know, people couldn't see it. Oh, no, that's not going to happen. Yeah, well, look what they're doing right now. And, you know, so I guess the point of that is, don't buy any official story. And when you remember 9/11, first put it into perspective of who had anything to gain from it. America was destroyed on September 11th, 2001. Not just Twin Towers, not just, you know, Manhattan, not just the Pentagon, not just some empty land in Pennsylvania, you know, and we can get into all the different things about the plane that landed in Cleveland and then turned back around supposedly, and then was crashed because let's roll. They made some big hero out of supposedly at a time when the phone calls weren't available yet and a lot of people don't get that, and they'll argue with that. No, I remember taking a flight. There was no phone calls, okay? Especially cell phones. Cell phones didn't work. You had to turn them off, and you wasn't getting no service anyway, okay? But they're trying to make you believe that the technology then was available, that this dude called his wife, and in the background, let's roll, and they stormed the cockpit and forced the plane down. No, the plane was shot down. I guarantee you that. And anyways, I don't know, that's remembering 9/11 today, right? Today's 9/11, and we're remembering 9/11 2001. That was the attack on America, and that was a day, that was a bigger attack than people realize. That's when America was destroyed and handed over to the New World Order. So, I mean, just think about that when you're voting, when you're about to vote for president or any other, you are voting for a member of the New World Order. And none of us are standing up to do anything about it. And I've already been talking long enough, I guess, but there's some other subjects I want to, about this governor in New Mexico. I'm sure maybe you've heard about that by now, but I'm going to try to do a video on that. But the thing is, today, several days after she just did that, whatever her emergency order, or whatever it is, to take the guns away from the gun rights away from all the citizens of New Mexico. Okay, am I right? New Mexico, is that where? I have to. Anyways, that's one I want to do something on, but I want to put some more, gain my thoughts on that, and do some more research on that. But and you look at the people, and how is she still there? Within a day, she should have been removed. Okay, she should have been arrested by the officers under oath, which proves, so you're going to tell me how you expect me to believe, or I don't know who says that now, but back then, you expect me to believe, how many people it would take to pull that off? Well, you expect me to believe that a bunch of idiots living in caves was able to do it, but not our government, which has been involved in attacks on the people for centuries, for decades. And here we are a decade later, and look how things turned out, and you expect me to believe that it wasn't an inside job? And nobody wants to face it. Nobody wants to admit it. And look where it's at now. Anyway, look how far we've come since then, and it's only getting worse, and nobody's standing up. And then you can take different situations, but for me it hits personally because here I am in this situation, and I try to make a stand, but nobody wants to agree. And what the thing we need to do is agree that we're all free people here in this country, and it's time for us all to stand with each other whenever any person who's being violated, that's how serious it is, as soon as the violations happen. So, New Mexico, we should be, standing, every one of us here in this country right now should be standing against New Mexico, against that governor. Even though she ain't my governor, it does matter, because now it's going to be somebody else that's going to do it, and then somebody else is going to do it. Why? Because you see these officers sitting there breaking their oath, allowing her to break her oath, and nobody's holding her accountable. And what's happening? Not one of us citizens it's our job. It's our job. We're in this shape because we are not doing our job. We're expecting honest people under oath to do their job, and they're not. They're all in it together. They're all protecting each other, and none of us are doing our job. Our job is to protect this country. Our job is to protect our freedom. anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think about 9/11, what you remember about 9/11. Some of you may have not been born yet, and some of you may be just very young yet, and some of you may be my age, maybe even older, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts about the whole thing, 9/11, any other thoughts you got or whatever. 9/11 or the thing down there in New Mexico. Well, I'm gonna do a different video on that. I just wanted to jump on here. I was sitting here thinking about 9/11, what I remember about it, what I remember about that day, and how I knew before the end of that night that who was behind it. Now, I don't have I don't claim to know all of it and claim to know every single thing that's right, but I'm 100%, I was 100% convinced before the end of that night that our own people were a part of that plan. Anyway, have a good day. Talk to you later.